Welcome back to Atlanta Diaries, the place where meaningful conversations with breakthrough women come to life. I'm your host, Enma Popley, and I'm thrilled to embark on season 3 alongside all of you. After a much needed break, back with a renewed energy, I hope to make these conversations even more enriching and meaningful. I do want to express my gratitude to all my supporters and cheerleaders who have introduced me to Atlantas who they believe deserve celebration and whose stories are bound to inspire others. I hope these stories will empower you as you create your own narratives, leaving a lasting impact on the world around you. In case you've missed any episodes from the previous seasons, do visit my website www.enmapopley.com. Your feedback is incredibly valuable to me. Therefore, please don't hesitate to share any suggestions or ideas you may have to further evolve Atlanta Diaries. Starting season 3 with an amazing person, Sandhya Gupta, an engineer whose journey is truly inspiring. Born in India, Sandhya grew up in a conservative family and challenged societal norms to become the first girl in her extended family to pursue engineering. Sandhya's determination and courage led her to explore new horizons, and she eventually found herself in the United States, where she achieved more academic success and gained invaluable life experiences. Both the United States and India hold very special places in Sandhya's heart. With a strong foundation of values from her time abroad, she finally returned to India after 20 years with a very powerful mission: to dispel the fear of mathematics among children and nurture exceptional math educators in every community she impacted. Without further ado, let's delve into Sandhya's journey as she uncovers a beautiful story within every experience and share her passion with me for fostering communities. Hi, Sandhya. A very warm welcome to the show.
Thank you, Enma, for inviting for this podcast. Always a pleasure to talk and discuss, especially the work of Aavishkaar.
Without waiting too much, just jumping into your fascinating journey, how do you see your place in the world?
Actually, quite ephemeral. I'm here, however many years I live, and then hopefully my family and friends, whenever they think of me, I can put a smile on their face.
Oh, that's beautiful. And looking at all the work you've done, I can totally see that for people to start loving maths and seeing math as a language. That's a whole new perspective to mathematics, which we sometimes take for granted, right? So I think before we jump into your journey of mathematics, tell us, how did your early years shape your journey thus far?
Early years, what I remember of it is I loved going to school. I love solving problems. I still remember any mathematics or physics teacher, whatever problems they gave, more than play, this was important to me. I am ambitious, so I would see poverty around me, and I thought that I will figure out a solution to this. Whenever I would see something, I would be like, oh, I'm going to study a lot, and one day I'm going to find a solution for it. I mean, as we grow old, we realize that some problems are wicked problems. They may or may not be solved in a generation. But that little girl in me always thought that she would be able to find that solution. So this is something I always knew that I like a lot. And I wanted to make a lot of money. So I loved math. I wanted to make a lot of money. And so we are 4 sisters, as no boy in the family, which I think was a good thing on hindsight. My mom also, I would say, was very ambitious for us. She wanted us to do better than the boys of the family, extended family. I never felt for even a single moment that I am a girl, so I can't do something. And I think that's a gift the parents give us. They always made me feel that I am a person of such special abilities that whatever I take, I would be able to find a solution for it. And that immense faith of my parents, especially my mother, really helped me a lot. because I always thought if I did hard work, things will turn around. So I did my engineering. I went to Tata Steel, worked there for a while, and there I learned that I could go abroad. And I came to US. I wanted to go in semiconductor manufacturing and build all those devices that I had studied about. And I got very lucky that I did my PhD in that and was very lucky to find exactly the kind of job I was looking for, ekdam dream job. So this was my journey from here to US. But I am not a person who is very generous with money. So I got a lot of money because I had a PhD and I was doing a research job. Then I realized, that I could buy the house that I wanted, the car that I wanted, the music system that I wanted, whatever I wanted, but my wants were not much. How many cars can you buy? How many clothes can you buy? How many earrings would you buy? And that happened to me very quickly. And I realized for a very long-term life, I had made a very short-term goal. So I think my midlife crisis happened very early. And that's when I started looking for the so-called purpose.
So, before we dig deep into the purpose, what kind of roadblocks, if any, did you encounter?
So, they become roadblocks only on hindsight.
Yeah.
When you're actually going through the process, it's like an exciting adventure, right?
Yeah.
It's like you can see it as Alice in Wonderland, or you can see it as Harun and the Sea of Stories, whatever. So when I was doing my 12th grade, you had to choose mathematics or science. So I had chosen both because it was very clear to my parents that she is wanting to go for a professional degree because they wanted to make money fast. They wanted me to do medicine. I wanted to do engineering because there was math in it. Simple. So when I went and talked to both my professors, in biology, you have to do lab work. So you have to attend school. But in mathematics, even if you don't attend the classes, you can give the exam. And it just so happened that my biology and math classes were at the same time. So for those 2 years, 11th and 12th, I have studied mathematics on my own. And I applied for both the entrances to become a doctor as well as to become an engineer. And as luck would have it, the result of the engineering entrance came first. And biology entrance had not come, and they had to go give fees for admission. But then what happened was the whole extended family came, because in the eyes of the so-called upper class people, or whatever you want to call them, it's not good for a woman to go and work outside. So they were like, how can you make your daughter get a professional degree and then let her work outside home? It's not respectable. That's a point of view. A lot of people would come home. There would be a lot of meetings at home. My parents were getting concerned. So, what shifted in me was I realized that the time to ask for permission is gone. Now I'm going to do what I want. Your job is to come and object. You will do that, but I'm never going to come to you for permission. Because only when you ask for permission, somebody gets the right to say yes or no, right? Then the women were less in college, of course. We were special. If you laughed, everybody knew. If you cried, everybody knew. If you got angry, everybody knew. If you did well, everybody knew. So I would say I got a lot of attention. Starting out, I felt that I am a woman and I'm the only one in the room. So I should speak carefully. And I was hesitant to speak. But as I grew older, I realized I am a woman. I'm the only one in the room. I got to speak carefully. But because I'm the only one in the room, I will be heard.
Yeah.
So the thing had to shift in my mind that
Yeah.
actually I am in a position of power, lot of power. And if I use it wisely, I can take it to places. And that is why I would say very grateful to those situations in making me who I am today.
That's a beautiful reframing of perspective. So, when did you really realize that this discrimination is a reality? I'm also coming from a smaller city like Chandigarh. My dad pushed us to do just everything and anything, and he role modeled it. So I think it's only maybe later on you start seeing these unconscious biases, where you're sort of made to feel that no, you're different. So when did you really feel that, oh, it is a big deal to be a girl, and then you obviously reframed your perspective?
Yeah. So I think it was probably, it happens to all those young women, young girls whose parents make them feel special. So I would say I never felt the discrimination because I didn't allow them to ever discriminate me that way. But it happened to me in America when I had to fill that form where you have to say woman of color. And that word color, really, I really don't like it. Call me an Indian woman, call me a woman of the Asian continent, but not a woman of color. Because its root is in color, and that's the problem we are going to solve. So if we call it that, how will we solve it? And that's the first time I felt. And you had to fight with the system, not with a person.
Yeah. It's almost like it's conditioning the people, Even if it's not in your mind, you're forced to think about it because you're constantly reminded about it. And these terminologies, so to speak, are sort of there in the system.
Yeah. Just differentiate on geography, not on race.
Yeah, so true. So now that you've sort of brought US in the picture, how did you then navigate the next big milestone, which is going to the US?
Yeah. So I was in Danapur, my hometown. From there, I went to Jamshedpur for my job. So I was outside home now. People could visit. I could visit them back home, but they were not physically there. And that makes the problem much simpler, right? But I did not tell my family initially that I'm even applying. Once everything was done, then I told my parents that I have been admitted. They heard the good part of the story. And because I got selected, my parents were very happy. And at this point, even the extended family was very joyous because now they had earned some bragging rights about this daughter of the extended family. So the story suddenly now changed. And when this daughter of the family got into a US university, there was a lot of joy, a lot of praise, a lot of newspaper cuttings came, all well.
I love that. So let's shift gears a little bit. I think that's a great context setting for our conversation going forward and finding that purpose. When you bought a music system which was worth $200, you celebrated with your roommates. But then when things became even better, it made no difference to you, just like a piece of furniture. Take us through that journey and what does that really mean? Literally and, philosophically.
Yes. So I remember I came to US and that time I still not got my assistantship. So we were 4 roommates and we all wanted a music system at home. And fine, it took us 6 months, decided to buy. We were so happy. We threw a party. We cooked a lot of people came. We danced all evening. Fast forward, I finished my PhD, got a job. And now I wanted a really good music system. Marantz used to be a company, and this fancy music system came. We listened to music, and then we switched off and went to sleep. There was no celebration, nothing. We were making six-figure salaries, but the joy when I was a student, that joy was missing.
Hmm.
And I realized that it's not about what kind of music system. Probably it was the community of these young women who were my roommates. Their joy, seeing them happy, made me happy too. And that's when I started thinking, what is it that makes me happy? So my 9 to 5 was really good. I loved the job that I was doing, but my 5 to 9 started having trouble. And that's when I started looking as to what is it that I really want to do. India was always a place where I came from that I connected with a lot. And in US, I always thought everything works, everything is on time. And I just saw so many ideas there. I always thought, oh, if I went back to India and I implemented even a single of it properly, it would be so much better. So India started looking like a land of opportunities to experiment. And I think I am an experimentalist at heart. And meanwhile, Sarit, my husband, started to say, I think 10 years of this is good, and then we should do something different. Because there is only one life, we got to experiment. Initially, I wasn't buying into this solution, but as I met more community leaders, because I also did a master's in public affairs, and I met a lot of wonderful people of Minnesota who believe in the leadership of the common good and how it can change the world. And I got very inspired by them. And that's when I decided that I want to give it a try. So two things were always clear to me. If something happens to a woman, it really hits here. And if you give me a good math problem, I really want to solve it. And it took me to Himachal and to Aavishkaar. And I'm just so happy that I could connect both the things. My love for betterment of our women and my love for mathematics. Both of them come together so beautifully at Aavishkaar. It's almost feels like my retirement plan.
So beautiful. So looks like between you and your husband, you were very clear that you are coming back to India at some point of time.
In India, when you go to someone's home, you just show up or you say, I'm coming. And there you have to say, I'm coming for dinner at 7 on this and this date, 2 months in advance. I was doing that, but that wasn't really working out for me. My daughter was by that time 5 years old, and I had to organize play dates for her, which I did not want to do. So I was very clear that I'm going to live my life. I am not going to become the driver of my daughter. And she was going to see me having fun. And hopefully, this is how she will form her life. So the decision to come to India became more clearer then that I have to live my life and she has to live it independently too.
At the very heart of it, it was all about community for you.
Yeah. So there are two ways of living that I notice. In India, you talk to your neighbors, you fall in trouble, your neighbors help out, right? At least in small town. I live in a village, but in urban settings, in US and in India, urban setting means you have your friends, your work colleagues, or the clubs that you have joined, and that's your community. They may not be your neighbors. And I realized that I like more a setting in which my neighbors are my pillars of support. The community I lived in Bloomington, it was to some extent like this. But India, we take this for granted, at least rural India.
Like I remember when we moved to the US and we would go out for a walk in the evening and all the houses were pitch dark, right? And you could see no cars because they were all, switching the garage open and going in. And I was like wondering, does anybody even live in this neighborhood? And it's not necessarily a happy feeling, that you realize that you've taken that whole feeling of neighborhood for granted. That is so true. And it's resonating with me at so many levels. Sandhya, now let's shift gears. You somewhere said that US was your fatherland and India was your motherland. Share with me what were the different learnings which were equally enriching and equally meaningful in the US, then back home in India.
Growing up in India, as a kid, you go sit on anybody's lap, you're crying, anybody in the neighborhood will take care of you, they will feed you. That's the India I've grown up in. There are good things and bad things because of this closeness and proximity. But overall, this is the kind of human relationship I had grown up with. There was a maid who came to our house and to do the cleaning the dishes, cleaning the house. In my family, she was taken care with love and affection, but she never sat on the sofa and it never bothered me. I did not even think about it. So my fatherland, US, taught me equality. Really, what it means to be equal, I have learned from that land. That a server serving in a restaurant could be a student who is doing research in human interactions. You never know because there is no job that is small. I have also learned how you can mobilize community. I have also learned that if committed people come together and they want a solution, the solution happens not only within a lifetime, but within a few years or maybe less. It does not wait for generations and generations. It takes committed citizens. I am just so thankful that I got to see a place that I had not even dreamt of. I'm not saying that there are not challenges there. There are. There would be challenges in every society that we go to.
Any anecdotes come to your mind when you share these beautiful perspectives about your fatherland?
Yeah, so I was taking a course in Masters in Public Affairs. I had not joined the program yet. I had talked to the program lead, Mr. Gary D. Kramer. He's not there anymore. A visionary, just so lucky that I got to meet him in Minneapolis. So he listened to me as to what I wanted to do, that I wanted to move to India after the program. And I wanted to do something with the young girls of a community. So he said, I'm not going to ask you to join the whole program yet. Make that decision, but first come and just attend this course. The name of the course was Leadership for the Common Good. And this was a time when the primaries of Hillary Clinton versus Barack Obama were going on. We were, I think, about 20 or 25 of us in that course. So I was a strong Hillary supporter at that time. I remember I cried when she lost. I was like, I'm never going to support Obama. I mean, I turned around, but listening to those perspectives, and in that course, what he had done was he had called a lot of community leaders who sometimes stood for totally divergent perspectives, but listening to them arguing and actually presenting their points, it's very exhilarating that you may think differently, but you have a reason for it, which you are able to logically put across. So I got a fellowship to do this program. It was named after Mr. Dick Graham. So Dick Graham called me and he said he wanted to meet everybody who was getting the fellowship. There were 2 of us selected that year. So we met for lunch and he talked to me and heard about my passion for how I want to support young girls get education. He asked me, would you like to fundraise for them? I was like, I don't know how to do it. You teach me and I will do it. He said, what if I open my home? You come and cook. I will call my friends. You tell them about the program and let's see who donates. This was 15, 16 years ago. What started from his home because of him and his passion for it is now in 16th year of fundraising. I'm going to US next month and I'm going to again do that fundraiser. And Ms. Karen Moore has been running this fundraising program for so many years. I have to only go and show up my face and talk. Where would you find such committed people? I never even have to remind them. I just show up. And we support so many young girls because of it. So that's what US is for me.
That's such a powerful story of impact and story of how you've actually mobilized another country to help make a difference in India.
The way I look at it is here there are young women with passion and hope and desire to achieve. And there are people who are looking for a purpose to support, which attracts them. I think I did the work of liaising, and now there are so many communities across the country that these people are supporting. And they have consistently supported. There are communities in Bihar, there are communities in Rajasthan, Gujarat, Odisha, Himachal Pradesh, now Jammu and Kashmir. They reach out to me. I see the problem. I see that there are people and I just connect.
This is lovely. Sandhya, while I can hear your passion, and I think clearly you and your husband were so intentional about coming back to India, but you do get used to a certain lifestyle. So when you came back to India, did these things bother you and how did you navigate them?
So lucky for me, I live in Himachal. So I live in the mountains. Forget about AC. I don't even have a fan because I don't need it. But because it's a mud house, it is built by the people who live in the village. They are the ones who know it. And they are probably not used to using the standing sink. So when they put things that they put in the house, they probably had never used it. So the way they put it, if we were not watching, it was not put properly. So I would say my house is full of stories. So you might say, oh, that thing is not perfectly horizontal, it's slightly sagging. Well, there is a story. I could tell you why it is like that.
Yep, I love that. Yeah. So you did bring that balance in it and enjoyed the different experiences that came along with it.
Yeah. So the wall that you see here, it's mud wall, right?
Right.
It's brownish. What you put is cow dung, right? And mix it with mud. So when we were building it, we were told that don't put it during summer. I was like, why? They said, because that time the cow is eating green grass and the dung would be darker in color.
My God.
But if you use the dung in winter, when they're using dried grass, which is pale in color, then you will get the lighter color. Now, see, here I have got such a good story.
Totally. So, what about your daughter? You bring a 5.5-year-old to India. By then, she was already speaking a language. She was talking in a certain accent. She was hanging out with people of different, cultures, communities. And then you nurture her to, equality is at the heart of everything. So, how did she navigate that?
So, for the longest time, our daughter did not know that we know English. It was very important for us that she knows Hindi and English both. So she went to a daycare and the daycare providers spoke English. We spoke Hindi. Many a times when the daycare provider and I am there, they would say something and she would translate it for me. And I was totally okay with that.
Wow. Okay.
So we had to make a new set of friends. I mean, new community, new friends. And the thing that I was talking about, equality, the thing that I had learned from US, here, a child was a child. If they were willing to play with my daughter, she was willing to play with them. It did not matter which economic status or caste they came from. And that means she had huge amount of options. This is India, kids are everywhere, right? It is only a problem when you want your child to play with people of so-called your status. If the child can play with anybody, no problem. She wanted to go to school and get that uniform. In India, only economically disadvantaged people go to a government school. But this is where we went. We registered our daughter there. They gave her free uniform. She wore it. And we could go anytime. So we will have lunch at home and the whole family will walk to school. And by this time, they're generally a single teacher or two teachers, primary schools. So the teacher is also tired by this time. So all the kids will come to us. We will take different things to play. So we would be there from like 12:30 to 1 to 3 p.m. And we will walk back home and she will go with her friends. The only rule of the house was that you have to come home before dark. I never knew what my daughter was eating where. I did not know today for lunch or dinner if the three of us are having dinner or two of us or maybe 20 of us. And that was never a problem with me. I was willing to cook for all her friends. So I would say my daughter was raised by the community, just like all other kids.
And that's exactly why you wanted to come back to India.
Yes. So at the lower level of our house, there was one area where all kids' toys, books, and everything was kept. Any kid could walk in anytime and take whatever they wanted. The only rule was you take it, you play with it, but you have to put it where you found it from. And there was never a problem. Every kid had followed. Some people say, oh, things might get lost. They will not return back. Never had that problem. And I think if a book got lost or was not given back, the kid really loved it. And what could be better? And the same thing we did in the school. We opened a small library there. We started giving books to kids. They would check it out because I wanted to develop that culture of reading. So they would take books home. The only thing while I was checking back, I would ask, did you like that story? Which character did you like? Or something just to figure out, did they read it? And sometimes they would not have read it and they probably are trying to tell me something. But these questions really mattered to them. So next time they returned, they would have read the book. And one thing led to the other. So the families started to read. And I started getting requests from older people. Do you have books for us? Which was, I thought, really nice. And as I started working in the school, two of us. So Sarit, my husband, is a planner. So he said, we are going there. Let's plan as to what are we going to achieve. So we said basic numeracy and basic Hindi reading. Every kid that graduates from this school should be able to do it. And that time, ASAR report said that a fifth grader can't do division. Third grader can't do subtraction, which we were seeing. And as we started working in that particular school, we saw that we can solve these problems. And we started seeing those small successes. So my daughter was going only for 2 hours when we were going. So she was practically homeschooled. She studied on her own. As she became older, she totally stopped going, not even for those 2 hours. She would go because she had friends. And by this time, we had started working with a lot more schools now. We had opened Aavishkaar, and we had realized that while we were working with basic numeracy and reading, science and math is something that really speaks to us. We started working with kids, and I realized that the better you are at math, the worse you would be as a math teacher. I researched a lot, and I realized that math and math education are two totally different things. So I studied a lot, went back to the books of education, did all that learning, and started implementing that. Then started getting a lot of requests from different schools and organizations across the country, because it was all word of mouth. We have really never advertised. And we started doing those trainings. And today, I would say we have worked with almost 9,000 teachers directly, and must have impacted about 1 lakh kids, and have learned so much along the way, learned so much.
What kind of lifestyle changes did you make when you moved from the US to India?
Not much, really not much. There, I had to make time to be in the wilderness, because when we were in the US, we were the people who hiked a lot, who backpacked a lot, who canoed a lot. But for that, we had to take vacation. But now I live in the wilderness. I don't have to take vacation.
Is there anything new which you started here? Like you said, there were so many things which we wanted to bring it to India.
That would be organizing. Organizing spaces, organizing people, being a straightforward, upfront and honest, being that sense of equality, and that each contribution is very important. Like our lead engineer, I should call him. He does not have an engineering degree, but he's a mason, he's a carpenter, he's a plumber. He can do all those things. Without him, Aavishkaar won't work. He is the founding pillar of Aavishkaar. So when we made a new, we call it Ojas, it's like a sheltered space, but it's an open space. So Sarit, my co-founder, designed it, and Roshan Lalji built it. To honor him, we actually invited his mother to do the opening of this new space.
How beautiful. Mm-hmm.
We just wanted him to truly know that he is just an awesome guy for the whole team. And I would say each and every person of the Aavishkaar team, they are here with a passion and a purpose, and they give it their best shot. And we try our best to make them realize that this team needs them.
So you've changed the social fabric of your community, at least. Any examples or anecdotes where you can see that dramatic shift in people's mindsets?
So we run a program where you could be a graduate, but at a minimum, you have to be 12th pass, and you join this program to become a primary math educator. So it's a 1-year program. So at the end of it, you apply and you get offers for a full-time job. We also help you out. Because math is a feared subject, not many people want to take it. But they know that they will get a job. So women join this program. Some of them are even scared, but in the hope of a job, they are willing to try. So there is this young lady. I have known her when I had not even started Aavishkaar. She was a 5th grader that time, and time went by and COVID hit. Many of these girls had become young women then, and they started getting pressure from their family that time to get married, won't be able to support you through COVID because things were closed for 2 years. Many young women of this community approached us that, Didi, Didi, that is elder sister, need help. Can something be done? And we started this program then. Quite a few of them joined the program. So fast forward, Didi also joined this program. And she joined Aavishkaar Fellowship after finishing her primary math educator. And now she goes across the country training students and primary teachers. Now she's running the Arohan program. She's so good. So she had recently gone to Gaya and she was working with some young girls and training them on mathematics. And the girls were not speaking up. Then she stopped the program and then told them her story. Told them that there was a time that she was sitting just like those young girls, scared to speak up. And now she is on the other side, actually teaching them. So she wanted them to see that change is possible if you try. This young woman is highest earner in her family. She is very confident. She is a decision maker in the family. And she's a role model in the community. She likes mathematics. But her family said, oh, in our village, girls don't study math. Not even a boy is studying. How can you take math? She could not take sciences. So she took commerce because her family did not know that commerce has mathematics in it. And now she's a mathematics teacher. When she goes to her community, her status has changed. She is calling the shots.
So beautiful.
And this is just one story. There are 300 women who have gone through the program.
Wow. Sandhya, I know we've been talking about Aavishkaar here and there, but I'd love you to take this opportunity to, share with us about Aavishkaar, your vision, and how can, listeners also help promote Aavishkaar?
Sure. Thank you. So Aavishkaar aims to nurture curiosity, creativity, and critical thinking in citizens of tomorrow. And the path we have taken is science and math education. We educate, equip, and enable our teachers, both as community teachers or after-school program teachers. And we are there to support you to make science and math interesting, engaging, fun, and justification-based, so that we can change the way the teacher is teaching. Because right now, a teacher goes with a book and a chalk. They write procedures on the chalkboard. Kids copy it, memorize it, and regurgitate it in the exam. The way they think about the nature of mathematics is it's very robotic. It's very algorithmic. But maths is not that. It's a very open and creative process. The thing with math is, if you are adding 3 plus 4, it's always going to be 7. But there are many ways to add it. And everybody loves a puzzle. And math is nothing but puzzles. It's like a study of patterns, but it's not taught this way. If somebody does not understand, very scared to raise a hand because they're worried that they would get laughed at, and that's got to change. We as teachers have to make them feel that your questions are a contribution to the class and it changes everybody's understanding. So unless we kind of work on this together as a community, we won't be able to change that. And that's what Aavishkaar stands for. We are doing our research across the world. What is happening? How is it that we can change? We collect that research, we do our own research and share it with our teachers so that we can educate them, equip them, and enable them to make science and math interesting, engaging, and fun.
My only reaction to you is, can I come and do a camp at Aavishkaar? I mean, I think that's such a beautiful, inspiring journey, Sandhya. Your vision is so bold and you're so passionate about it. So, Sandhya, what advice would you have for those who want to pursue philanthropic interests or contribute to the community and the society but are unsure, or perhaps even skeptical about where to start?
I believe that most people in their heart kind of know what they want to do, but if there are fears, then we might start to say, oh, my dad won't agree, or my mom won't agree, or my grandfather will not let me do that. But this is again my thought. So we give ourselves excuses for what we would have loved to do, but are not sure to plunge into. But if you know in your heart, this is what I want, it's no harm saying that I'm scared to try. Because the moment you say it out loud, that I'm scared to try, then you have taken the ownership. Then you can look for a solution. I want to do this, but I'm scared. Can I analyze it? Can I see its pros and cons and then make an informed decision? Maybe it's social sector, maybe a startup, whatever you try. I think I've got only one life to live. There are many ways to live, whose answer I already know. So why not try something that is so totally out of my league? And believe me, that is what I've kept trying. And every time I thought that I've tried something new, I find a lot of people already trying that. All we have to do is reach out. So if you're ever thinking of doing something like this and want to reach out to me, I'm always ears.
Since it's all about the future generation, how did your daughter support you in this journey?
I would say she is the reason Aavishkaar is there. I remember she asked me that, Ma, why do you let other kids go to school? And that was a very good question.
Yeah.
I did not give an answer. At that time, I told her, every family has their own values. And based on those values, they make a decision. I have never stopped you from going to school. So she actually, at one point of time, she did talk to her friends to figure out what is there that happens in school that she's missing out on. And after doing all her analysis, she said, Ma, I don't think it's for me. I have so many projects, so I think I won't go to school. It started as our decision, and then it finally became her decision. She has been that young girl who loved carpentry. She did not buy a dollhouse, she built her dollhouse. She made her own dolls. She made a tree house. Then she made a tree house with like a huge roof on top. And what I learned from her is never to say no, but always to teach how. You want to use saw? Let me show you how. And I'm going to put Band-Aid and other first aid kit, and you go try it, because there would be times that you will injure yourself. She wanted to go to college. I don't know how much she wanted to go to college. Or more than that, she wanted to live independently. So she decided to go to college. She goes to Kriya University. It's near Chennai. And she studies physics there. So a very independent woman in her own right. We are building a new campus for Aavishkaar. The team has become bigger. We want it to be fully working as a research center. So she is that young lady who is consistently talking about all the architectural elements of the new campus. When she was 15, she actually was invited to work on the maths curriculum of a primary school. So she actually designed the curriculum and taught there for a couple of years. So I am very proud of her.
This has been lovely, Sandhya. And since Atlanta is a place where women leaders or leaders learn and unlearn sometimes their definition of success, what are your parting thoughts for these aspiring leaders as they transition into larger roles?
As I've always said, either you can say, oh, this is so difficult to do, or you can say, wow, this is going to be interesting. I might fail, but I will get a story out of it. So I have always chosen the story part of it. I hope you all will choose that too.
Beautiful. This was absolutely amazing. Thank you for being a part of this incredible journey with Atlanta Diaries. I have had the privilege of hosting guests who courageously shared their most vulnerable selves with me. And even if only a small segment of these conversations can champion the journey of one person, it will be worth each and every moment. And together, we know we can create an even greater impact. So I do have a humble request for you. If you found value in these episodes, please consider sharing the podcast with your friends, family, and on your social media. I would also love to hear your thoughts and will really appreciate if you could take a moment to leave a review or rating. See you next week for another inspiring journey on Atlanta Diaries.